Welcome, Matty. How you doing? Good time. I got to see you this weekend. Big family wedding. A lot of news in the Farina family and Salmon family. It was a good time. Good time. It's real
Yeah,
happy to
yeah.
see you.
It's nice to just finally see you in person without like looking through a screen for
I
like
know
months.
it's so weird, but it was nice. It was nice to see
Yeah.
everyone. It was a real good time. We got a lot to get through today. Again, we must be the mushes because it's not a lot of positive things we're going to roll out today. Maybe a little
Yeah, switches
positive
a lot.
giant news, but the New York press has turned it sour. So let's get right into it. Let's talk Yankees. You know how I feel about the Red Sox. It's like getting kicked in the groin, losing to them 3 games in a row. What are your thoughts on the weekend? Panic? No panic?
I'm panicked still because it's too much. I feel like you said it last week. The conversation switches too much, really week by week. I mean, they went through that stretch where they swept the Blue Jays, then they took 2 out of 3 in the next 2 series, and we're like, okay, we're starting to get a feel like it's looking good, but just like that one series in Boston can ruin it all. And they start a 4 game set with the Angels today, and they just really are. The Angels are so easy to beat if Shohei Otani's not going all over the place.
I
And
mean, the
I'm not
Yank.
worried about him on the mound. I'm just worried about him at the plate.
Yeah,
I
so yeah, I mean, I'm never worried about one hitter. I mean, he's not Barry Bonds back in the day.
yeah.
I'm still bitter about the weekend things that bothered me about that series. These umpires got to get punished if they can't make a call. In that game yesterday, Judge strikes out
Terrible.
on 2 pitches that are clearly on television, not strikes, and it sets him up for impossible. I mean, the guy's super hot. You have runners on. You got a chance to
Mhm.
make a comeback in that game. You get punched out on a bad call. Then you got to lose to
Terrible.
Ovaldi.
Ugh.
Ottavino light you up, and then Garrett Whitlock, who's a Rule 5 Yankees person that let guy. I
Don't
mean, it
even
was
care.
just punch in the face, punch in the face. It was brutal, man.
I mean, they really the first 2 games. I was not upset with the pitching. I knew they were going to score some runs. I mean, that's obviously. I think it's just
Well, they play on a wiffle ball field up there.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't take that hard to whip a double down the line. I mean, but it's just with Judge, the umpires, it's not even that like it's not even like like look, the stuff that's like outside or inside, yeah, but the stuff that's like below the knees, I mean, it's you got to bump up his strike zone like 2 inches off where it is.
But
And
what's frustrating, it's on TV. Like,
yeah, it
the,
might affect him on high pitches, but he can, it's unhittable for him, and almost everything in the strike zone, the hitter needs to be able to make contact with, and he can't make contact with that like at all.
100%. No, it's impossible for him to get down there, and then you get behind in the count. You start chasing pitches, and these guys
He's
throw him
screwed. Yeah,
sliders away, and he's got to go for it because the strike zone's not consistent. But like I was listening to David Cohn talk
battle of the
about it,
clock.
and
Yeah,
he's talking about like, yeah, behind the scenes, these umpires get criticized, and he was saying how poor the umpire on Sunday is rated. But have we ever
yeah,
heard of that? Like, they don't get fired. That union, no one
yep,
gets in trouble. So if their only punishment is not being in the postseason, that's not good enough. This is $1 billion industry.
yeah.
They're gonna, we all see it now. Now, back in the day, it was all like, hey, it's subjective. I thought that was a strike. Maybe it wasn't. But now you've got laser tracking that goes exactly over the plate. We know if it's a strike. They
I
know if
mean,
it's a
yeah, they
strike.
even give the best example is like they do it well. They do it pretty good on Yes, but ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, they literally show you like if even like the top end of the ball even touched a piece of like the strike zone or the bottom end. So there's no
Yeah, there's
it's
no.
you said it's a battle against the clock for them. Their time's running out. Who knows how long they have left till they're hearing it through a Bluetooth in the ear. I don't know how long,
It's
and I think it needs to be sooner than later. Instead, if they can pick it up, but I think for the Yankees, maybe every like maybe like 1 game out of every 5 they played, that there's a good umpire on the mound or not on the mound,
behind the
behind the
plate.
plate. Yeah, I'm still not worried about the base umpires. Like I like the
No,
human
I
element of
mean they
that,
make they
but
make some great calls, and it was kind of like how they were
yeah.
fighting about the NBA, the Clippers Suns call, whether it was out of bounds. I
Uh,
do agree. Sometimes replay goes way too far, and a big part of some games is momentum. I don't think the
yeah.
momentum is the same in baseball as any of the other sports, to be honest with you, especially basketball or hockey. But It's not hard when they have these computers saying ball or strike to put it in their ears. I don't care about their
It's
egos.
so fast. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really, and I still want to see like the umpire at home plate calling the play at the plates and the base umpires calling the plays at their bases or whatever. I still want to see that because I think you take that away, that's too much to put it through the air. Oh, I think he was out stealing. I think
No,
that's too much.
you don't need
But
all that. I agree. You don't need all that. But the balls and strikes,
lost
I
you
mean, I
games.
feel like MLB just doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They continually just screw everything up. Um,
And it's annoying. I mean, really, and then the umpires they're begging, they're like making, then they're throwing guys out of the games, like they're saying like, well, like they're fighting back to like what's said against them. I don't. That's not fair. Like this is. I can't even find the word. It's just it's ridiculous the way they like perform, and they're getting paid for it too. It's not like
yeah, if
they
we
should
were
be
that
throwing a
bad, we'd be
fit,
fired. Like it's
and it's gotten
unbelievable.
worse. Like that's what's. I don't know if that's
Well, I
velocity or
don't know
like.
if they've gotten worse or we just see it better, but because yeah,
Yeah,
you are right. Pitchers throw harder, breaking balls could go even crazier and make it
yeah.
difficult. But I'm sorry, you can't. It's a
Then
billion
you
dollar
get
industry,
better. The pitchers are getting better.
or
You get
have a
better.
better
Like
way.
yeah,
Like what did you? I didn't. One pitcher gets suspended over the weekend, or he didn't get suspended yet.
and
Gets
he's going
busted with
against
the
it.
yeah for the tech. Didn't seem like a major effect. We've seen the batting averages change. Look, I'm no
Yeah.
expert. I listened to David Cohn, and he told me that Garrett Cole's spin rate was pretty damn close to the same. He was talking about how he's never seen an 0-2 101 mile an hour fastball get launched out of the stadium by Devers against Cole. So I'm not overly concerned with Cole the way I hear it from pitching experts who are saying, he couldn't throw his breaking ball, which may have to do with he doesn't have enough grip on the ball. It's location issues.
Hmm.
But they've got to find some consistent, like, hey, everyone can use a little bit of rosin or something and let the players come to a happy medium because it's,
Well, you take the spider tack away. I agree with that, but
yeah, just make it
pine
one
pine
thing for everybody.
pine tar hasn't been proven to be that much better. Like it's better. We'll say that it is better. Like, but it's like you look at the game Michael Pineda was thrown out of against the Red Sox because of pine
Oh,
tar. Like, was he
Pineda.
real? Was he real? Was it really worth it? Was he really that much better? Like, but like if
Well,
they're gonna use it for grip, I mean, look, then people like they don't want to like Pete Alonso said it, and they're like, well, like those batters are allowed to use that. Then take away batting gloves. Like on a
well,
rainy day, take away batting gloves. Then see the
I
difference. Like
just think it has to be consistent. Like they changed the baseball too far, like stop changing the baseball, keep it exactly the same it is. Let the
mhm,
players approve the baseball because they're the ones who are holding it, throwing it, and hitting it.
yeah,
So let them agree and let the pitchers and the hitters come to an agreement. What is a fair baseball? How tight should the stitching be? How should it feel
yeah.
on the inside? And then let the pitchers and hitters both agree. What kind of tack can you use? Because I don't think the hitters want guys up there throwing 102 miles an hour who don't have a firm grip of the ball that could hit them in the head. Like you want them to have
Yeah,
some control in the weather. So it's just got to be consistent. And Major League Baseball
yeah.
keeps changing stuff. They knew about steroids. They didn't change it.
They should. Well,
Because
the problem is, I think, and I'm not trying to excuse Cole for what he did. He shouldn't have done it. I mean, even though everyone is doing it, everyone who participated in it shouldn't have done it. I don't like what his comments about it. I don't like, oh, it's so hard to grip the ball, like crying about it. Like maybe it is, but like going and crying about it to the media is not going to do anything. I didn't like that. But the fact that they did it mid-year, though, I think they should have seen that would have caused controversy. They should have done it before you begin the year, so at least like they guys can like try to like get
no, they treat us like morons. Like no one's going to notice this stuff.
and
It's on TV for Christ's sake. We see it all.
and I don't want to support the guys because I don't like Bauer. I hated what Glass now had to say. I mean, that's basically just
Well, he
whining
seems,
about your damn call or whining about really
yeah.
just like, oh, well,
That's
like
an over exaggeration, I'm sure. But maybe
it's
he
yeah.
just blew out his elbow, so he's probably frustrated. So
I mean,
uh,
I understand. I see their argument, but I don't like that the fact that they're whining about them not being able to cheat anymore. I think it's
well,
kind of
the
like the
question
Astros.
is it really cheating if everybody's been allowed to do it for so long. There
Yeah.
there are rules saying, all right, don't take a file like in Major League the movie, or load your hand up with snot or jalapenos up your nose, or any of those crazy things like pine tar on your hat. But they always had a rosin bag at the end of the mound that you could go up and put on your hand. So just make the rule, enforce the rule, and keep it consistent, and let the players decide. Major League Baseball looks so bad if the owners are like, oh yeah, we want a lot of home runs this year. Oh, we went too far. Let's scale it back. Like, stop doing that to the game. It just it's making baseball boring, frustrating, and annoying. Like, I'm glad.
Yeah, that's why I love. That's why, like, I love baseball. You know that, but like that's why I love hockey so much, because hockey, there's not even like a threat of cheating. The only way you could cheat is you could curve the stick. Like, really, what other way is there to cheat? Like, could you increase the goal size by, like, if you're
the goalies used to stretch their pads out to be gigantic. That was a Flyers trick back in the day. But we'll get to hockey, because I know a certain guy made predictions that were correct, and a certain guy made predictions that were incorrect. But we'll get to hockey later. What else do you think about the Yankees?
Really, just going back to the strike zone for a quick second. And what bothers me is the umpires need to know the players are right. The players are always right. No, that's not true.
Don't say always. Yeah.
The players are right when they're in the zone. I play baseball. I know probably many of our viewers have at one point. The strike zone. The umpires, they know the strike zone, but the strike zone. Like, when you put your bat, like when Derek Jeter touches the back corner and the front corner, that's what I do at the plate every time. I know that my bat can get to that part of the strike zone. So if there's a ball that's wider, that I know if I swung just straight across like this and I couldn't make contact with it, it's not a strike. Like, the hitters know the strike zone. Pitchers know the strike zone. Pitchers even know when a missed call by the umpire is called. They know it. They're not going to say anything.
But it's so frustrating.
I don't know why the umpires really should have the best seat of the strike zone. No, the pitchers should have the best seat, then the umpires. But for some reason, the hitters know it better than the umpires, which is.
But you also get a guy like Judge for the ump. This is the problem with the guy standing behind home plate. You're standing behind a catcher, looking over his shoulder at a different angle with a guy who's 6'7". I don't know what he is, 240 in the way. It makes the angle not perfect. When we have technology that is clearly telling us, and the thing that frustrates me, like that Judge at bat kills me, instead of being your 2-0, all of a sudden you get behind in the count, and
it's terrible.
The influence of the count is so huge. You're either going to get a pitch you could crush, or you're going to be swinging at garbage in the dirt hanging on.
David Cohn said it the best, or Michael K, one of them. The count matters. The count always matters.
It's huge.
That you're not going to see. Unless you're a hitter, like a very small amount of hitters out there, maybe like Ohtani, or like a couple guys that just who are 0-2 and just still can do anything.
Yeah, there's the Vlad Guerreros and the Ichiros,
Tatis, like very small, and so like it really matters, like, and especially to a guy like Judge.
To everyone, trying to get on base late in the game, you're might be looking for a walk.
And if you're Judge and you're 0-2, you're screwed if they have good off speed. You're screwed if they have a good breaking ball, because I mean, with how good pitchers are, and now with the sticky stuff, now he's down 0-2, disadvantage from the umpire. I mean, like, what does a hitter do here? Like, he's being beat, like, and everyone's going against him. What are you gonna do in that situation? Like, when it's hard. Like, people are saying, like, it's hard for the pitchers. Well, it's hard for them to grip. It's hard for the hitters, because pitchers are so good these days, and the umpires are on basically really with the pitchers.
Yeah, but the pitchers do get screwed by bad umpire calls too. And my whole thing is just keep it consistent, so that everyone who gets up knows exactly what is going on, and then it's really, we could decide who's a good hitter, who's a good pitcher, not just these garbage that's being thrown all over the place, and it's changing from stadium to stadium, from umpire to umpire.
I don't know that with Cole. Like, he's had a bad June. He's had his
June hasn't been terrible. Isn't he like 5-2? He just had 2 bad outings.
But really, sorry, go ahead. But like,
I was just gonna say, if I saw those stats where his spin rate plummeted, I'd be really scared. On a day where it's 100 degrees and humid and you're throwing the ball and you can't quite get your breaking ball to break, or you're not locating your fastball,
Yeah.
in the major leagues, you're going to get racked. That's the reality. Is 101. These guys are turning it around, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what a disaster will be if he turns out to be a bust, because the Yankees.
They are screwed. They're literally, and I hope if it does happen to him, I hope it happens to Bauer. So two teams are screwed like that. So the Yankees aren't
I
like
could
on
care
their
less
own.
about the Dodgers.
But it's just with Cole. What's different is like this year. Even it's been the strikeouts in June. He did pitch better in Boston yesterday.
Yeah, he's not getting
Strikeouts
swing
went
and
up.
misses.
The strikeouts did go up, but you look at like an 8 inning outing a couple of weeks ago in Buffalo, 4 strikeouts. 4 strikeouts. Like to even have a decent performance, I feel like from him to know it's got to be at least 6 or 7. Like,
I don't care about the strikeouts at all. Just win.
but
Just
that's
keep
the pitcher
the
he is,
runs off
though.
the. I know,
He's
but
not a contact pitcher.
But maybe a different lineup. He attacks it a different way. He wants. That night. I don't know the particular game, and maybe the bullpen was beat, so they had a game plan to go in there and throw strikes, get this team to hit the ball, put it on the ground, and get out of the inning, so that they didn't have to beat up the bullpen. Do I think that's what happened? Probably not. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Strikeouts are great when you need them, when there's guys on base. But a ground ball, one pitch out is a lot better, for the longevity of the game.
If I'm being 100% honest with you, I haven't really, even since he's had his good starts here and there. This season, though, he's just
No, he doesn't look like the ace.
Like last year, he was just dominant every single start besides like one. Like every
and that's
start.
why people are panicking.
It's been a mixed bag this year. Like even with his start against Toronto on opening day, he was good, but he still was was all over the place, and it's kind of it's a little scary because you lean on him so much, and Kluber's not there, and Kluber was getting good. But on positive news though, Tyon's been good. I like what he's done in his last home starts. In his home starts, he's been pretty good.
I like that he says he feels good and his arm feels good, but I don't feel warm and fuzzy and safe when he's on the mound. I'm waiting for a pitch to go blasted.
He can't finish in 2-strike counts. He needs a pitch that he can just go to that gets strikeouts, and he doesn't have that.
Well, don't get the strikeouts. Throw a fastball in the bottom of the strike zone and get him to ground it on the infield. Come on. Well, it all doesn't have to be flash.
Injuries, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. Like, come on, like.
Well, injuries is these guys get big. Yeah, Britain, that's a tough one. I mean, these guys just can't.
I don't understand it. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I've played baseball majority of my life. I don't think I've stretched for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah,
in my
but
life. And
you don't know how age plays a big factor in that, as you will see. Getting off the couch now hurts.
I can play with a twisted ankle. Like,
this isn't at an elite level with guys throwing 100 miles an hour. It's completely different. So I don't want to ever question anyone's injuries. We should avoid that altogether. There's no control over that, and a lot of the times people are playing with injuries and we don't even know it. So.
Well, like the pitchers are a different story, but with the fielders, like some of these ridiculous injuries, like.
Well, they keep guys off the field a lot more than ever, but you also got guys with bigger muscles than ever that get hurt. I think it was David Wells. Was it? No, it was John Daly with the famous saying, "The reason I never get hurt, you can't pull fat."
Yeah.
But still, like, what do you want? You can't question people's injuries unless there's someone
annoying.
Who's got a soft bruise and doesn't play.
Well,
let's move on because there is a lot of Nick buzz today. I know you're down south, so I don't know if you've seen it all, but if you've been watching TV or looking at the papers, the Portland Trailblazers hired Chauncey Billups. Apparently, Chauncey Billups they weren't consulted with Damian Lillard. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen Damian Lillard say anything. All I see is tons of speculative articles that this is what's going to push him out. I have not heard anything from Lillard, but what do I know? Neither of us are NBA insiders whatsoever. But there is talks that Damian Lillard may request a trade. Again, still haven't heard. This is the trade that I saw in the New York papers. The Knicks giving all three first round picks, the 2 they have this year and 1 next year, and then throwing either Quickly or Mitchell Robinson or Barrett in the deal.
Barrett, chip away. Yeah,
you would make that deal.
100%. I mean, I like to like contemplate with it a little bit. You're giving away Barrett, who's got promise.
I wouldn't give away. First of all, I would not give away Barrett at all. But go ahead.
I mean, but think about it, he's got great.
You're giving away a 20-year-old kid who's done nothing but get better.
Yeah, but you're bringing in a guy that will give you the same.
Yeah, but why?
You know what you're getting from him, though.
I would give up Quickly before I gave up him, and I'd give up Mitchell Robinson before I gave up him.
I think
Mitchell Robinson was a great player on the court, but I don't feel like he's going to stay healthy.
I would give away Robinson and Barrett. Either one of those, I wouldn't give away Quickly.
I wouldn't give away 2 of those guys under any circumstance.
I love his raw ability. He can throw up the three.
I like him too, but we are talking Damian Lillard, one of the better players in the NBA. I think he's 31. Correct me if I'm wrong. They could afford him.
Yeah.
If you get Lillard, maybe you don't sign Rose. They brought in that I think he's the Argentinian point guard as well. So we'll see in the Olympics if that guy's any good. The Knicks have $60 million cap space. Damian Lillard, I think he makes this team a legit contender in the East, to be honest with you. Philadelphia is headed in the wrong direction. Atlanta seems like a 1-year fluky thing.
Without Young, they stink.
Without Young, yes, they stink. But what was I going to say? Middleton looks like a stud for the Bucks. But what do you think? Why are you looking down so much?
I'm looking at some of these players you had written down. Just running it through my head. Lillard will be 31 on July 15th. But you said basically the same thing.
So I'm happy to sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal. They could cover him.
He has so much space. Give it. I want it.
But you don't see. That's where the Knicks have always got. Just because you have something, you don't spend it or give it away.
No, not all.
You gotta you gotta make a good, smart deal. So, the Knicks draft history tells me. I mean, this is a new regime, and Quickly was a good pick. I don't care about the draft pick.
No.
If they're none of them lottery, I'll give you 5 draft picks for Lillard because I know he's going to walk on the court and make an impact, and they're going to automatically be a strong playoff team. But I don't feel like well, look at the Celtics. They've been getting younger for years, and they're not over the hump. Eventually, you gotta make a push to get someone.
Well, that's really what we almost all of our teams can resonate with that. Some it's worked with, some it hasn't. I mean, you look at the Yankees; they kind of threw up a team in 2017 and it was great and they just build on it. But with the Rangers, I love what they've been doing, but I'm tired of getting younger.
It's time. They got we just talked about the Yankees. You get too many young players. You can't keep them all. The Yankees are usually good about taking a bunch of those young players and packaging them to get one player. And I think that's where the Knicks are. I think Barrett to get rid of him is a mistake. You just are down on him, and I don't think you've seen him enough to know that he has that. I don't know. He's got that edge where he seems like he wants to get in there and compete and fight. They also talked about Lonzo Ball.
I like that. I would do that.
They're talking about $19 million a year. That's the number because New Orleans could match. The rumor is Ball wants to come to New York. His dad wants him in New York. Leon Rose, they all want it there, but they're going to have to put it at a number where New Orleans can't match because New Orleans could match any deal. So that's why they're saying Lonzo Ball would be $19 million. Kyle Lowry, good player, too old. Don't want him.
Yeah, I would Lonzo. You know what? Think about it. I would give him 9. I would do that as long as he performs. I feel like he would. I feel like anyone would perform in New York at that level, with that skill. I feel like I mean,
Well, don't say that just come to New York and you can perform. Look at what happened in Philly, where he's a guy, $100 million point guard imploded. So there's a lot of players who come to big markets and can't succeed. Lillard has confidence.
I just want to see a name. I just want to see a name in New York.
No, that's a mistake. That's a huge mistake. That's the Yankees of the old who would just sign huge names, but it doesn't mean wins. You need a team that works and fills out the positions of a roster.
Well,
Otherwise, you're going nowhere. Names cost a lot of money.
I think they got to really look at I think the Knicks got to really look at who's you got to look at the next couple of years and who's like a keeper. Like honestly, I already have made a list of names I wouldn't care for if they were traded or left that are really not a part of a foreseeable future. Like I still think Randall is. I still think Rose still has some years left in New York.
Rose though has got two torn ACLs, a lot of injuries. So your future is not with Rose. I think Rose is. I want to see him back on the team, and because I think he makes the team better as the second team. Like he should not be the starting point guard. So he's not a team builder.
I don't think that's fair though. Like because of such a great year he's had, let's throw him away because of he's.
I'm not throwing him away. I'm just saying he's not. You're not building towards your future.
No, he's not the centerpiece of it. I still want him to be a part of it, though.
Yes, maybe a 2-year deal, $20 million, or a 1-year deal. That's where he sits. But you need a young point guard or a point guard that's going to be around 4 or 5 years and dominate.
Well, Rose, I don't think has to be I think he could be moved. I think to
But on this Knicks team, that's who That's where it landed. So if you bring back Rose, you have Randall, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin was a disappointment. We'll see. Mitchell Robinson was great, but he keeps getting hurt. So if you have to trade him and you could get high value,
I'm not done with Obi. I would.
I'm not done with him either. Is a lottery pick quickly. Luca Vildoza is the guard that could be some. I'd love to have Alex Burks back. But if you have a backup team with Noel and Burks and Toppin, their second lineup, Peyton, I'm sure is gone. They could be. He's pretty good. Gone.
I still, to be honest with you, if I could still flirt with Noel being a start. If you give up Robinson for the talent like Lillard or someone like
you're right. He could start.
But Noel wasn't by any of the stretch to mean
he was great.
Oh, he was terrible. I think he just needs to work on hitting some shots. I don't think
I don't think that's his game though.
Down low, kind of turn around some hook.
And
shots,
if you have Lillard and Randall, there's enough offense there. I think I'd spend my money on. They're going to go get a point guard. Who knows who it's going to be, whether it's Ball or any of these guys.
And I'm fine with Taj Gibson staying too. I'm fine with that.
I think he's a solid backup center too. Him too. If you go him and Noel, I'm fine with that at the center forward. But I think they need a 3-point gun to see someone else to shoot from the outside. If one of these point guards is not a knockdown 3 shooter, they need someone off the bench. See it with Atlanta, Herter just killing people, and these guys just spread the floor. It just kills you.
Well, Gibson can move into a power forward role too. So he's
no, but Gibson can't play a full season. Gibson, you forget age. Gibson wore down at the end. Gibson's good for 10 minutes in the second quarter and the third quarter.
Well, if you look though, off the bench as a power forward, he still can hit fadeaway shots and deep twos. And he's good at the line. He's at the charity strip. I think he's valuable off the bench. That's what
I think he's valuable. I do think he's valuable, but I don't think he's starting lineup valuable.
I love their bench. Their bench, I don't even think you should really change what their bench was this year. I think it needs to be the change in the starting lineup, because if someone's going to tell me their bench is going to do the same thing, if not better next year, that's great. You need the starting lineup to be better. I don't care if it's Rose, Toppin, Gibson, or Noel.
Yeah,
off
it's fine.
The bench. A bench is not supposed to be your best lineup.
If they kept their whole lineup and Lillard replaces Peyton, we're pretty damn happy.
Yeah, if you keep that start, I feel like if you have Barrett, and Randall, and then you had like Lillard, that frees up space for Randall to do what he wants and where he doesn't have to be number one. And that also frees up Barrett. Maybe he'll get better with that because less pressure on him. Because you can't, I still think the Knicks can't be a championship team with RJ Barrett being in your top 2 scorers. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
He can't. He's
Well,
too young. He's not
yeah.
good enough for it.
Well, you haven't seen where he's going to be. He's going to give him a break for being young, playing against guys who have played this game a long time, who are veterans.
But other players are better young. He's at the same level. He went to the same
He went to Duke for
program.
1 year. Like he was a teenager. So
Same coaches with Zion.
but Zion and him don't play the same position. I mean, they don't play the same game. Zion's a physical beast who just powers through anybody. If you're
Jones.
That's the saying. If you're that big, forget it. So
Zion would be perfect for the Knicks.
Anything else on the Knicks? Or NBA? Hey, let's talk NBA Final Four. What do you think? Bucks?
Suns Bucks finals. Hawks can't do anything without Young. And
he said he's going to play. He says it's a bone bruise.
Clippers can't do anything without Kawhi. So
Kawhi, I assume his injury is worse than we know. He's not even traveling to the game without. I mean,
I hate the Suns.
I feel nothing about the Suns. Who cares about
Desert
Phoenix?
Basketball.
The last time I remember the Suns is Charles Barkley, and that's a real long time ago. So I have no animosity against the Suns. I'd see Milwaukee playing the Suns, and I see Milwaukee winning it.
Sadly, I see that too.
6.
Actually, I'll change my mind. I think the Suns. I mean, Milwaukee. I hate their team. I hate most of the players on their team. They're annoying. They can't stop crying. Neither can the Hawks. I mean, everyone. It's just literally.
Hawks are a crybaby team. Yes, I agree.
I don't know what's the big like. Giannis is great. He is great and all, but like. He can't shoot threes and like he can't hit free throws. Like, so just don't foul him or like, yes, foul him. Make sure he doesn't hit a shot. Like,
I would either leave Giannis wide open from 3. And if he goes to the basket, hack the hell out of him. The old Shaq days.
This guy can't shoot. Like he can't shoot. He only could make layups, dunks, and like little floaters.
Yeah, but he does it to the tune of 36 points a game and like 20 rebounds. So it's
Clint
not.
Capella can't handle him. None of their guys can handle him.
Yeah, no one. It's just a physical freak. Like there's nothing you could do.
What's with this like Bobby Portis now? The old Knicks guy starting to shoot threes and hitting them like.
Well, they have a lot of guys that are streaky. Like Middleton scored more than the entire Hawks in the fourth quarter. When he's on, they're going to beat you because he's going to spread the floor and torture you. But we'll see. I don't think I'll be too interested in the NBA Finals either way. I'll probably watch a little of the game tonight. But like you said, Clippers, Suns, Bucks, these are not interesting teams to me, not interesting markets.
It's nothing. I feel like it would have been better with the Nets being in the conference finals against the Hawks.
But I'm sure glad they aren't. Bye-bye, Nets. You thought you won the whole season, and it comes down when you only have 3 players. If 2 of them get hurt, you're screwed. That's no bench hurts you. Well, let's move to hockey. Hockey's your world. My only concern for you is, do you think what center do you think the Rangers make a trade for? Is it Eichel? The rumor is that they're backing off. Drury made offers for him, and then he's backing off now. A couple other teams are rumored to be in the market. And then who do you got in the finals? I believe I said Montreal would be in the finals. First is Tampa. What a surprise. I think Tampa's going to beat them in 5, but I'm hoping Montreal wins in 7.
I don't know about 5. I've heard a lot of people saying that. I think Tampa in 7. I don't see Montreal getting just their doors blown off. I mean, I think Vegas is a better team than Tampa is, and they beat Vegas in 6. I mean, Vegas isn't. Some people will challenge that. Vegas is a better team than Tampa Bay. But all you got to do is look at the regular season. You look at the record. Vegas is better than Tampa Bay. I still think they have better goalies. Vasilevsky can be beat. Just Tampa.
They're gonna have to get rid of one of these goalies in the offseason. You can't carry 2 starting goalie salaries.
Well, Leonard's gonna want a starting spot because he is just as good as Fleury.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You gotta pick one.
I could see Fleury going back to Pittsburgh in a swan song. They got cap troubles and
they got terrible goalies.
They got cap problems in Vegas, thankfully, because they stole everyone's players years ago.
I hate the expansion draft. It's so unfair.
They give away too much. You should have to earn it. You can't count. You should never be able to walk in first season and make the playoffs.
You should give them like whoever wins the USA Juniors, who's like 19 years old, give him the whole team and see what they do.
No.
Let them grow on
No,
trade
no,
players.
No way.
Make trades.
Just give them some salary cap flexibility for the first couple of years to sign in extra players. Give them some extra draft picks, and then they gotta, they can't loot all the teams.
Well, what they need to do is just throw out like a bunch of these guys who have played in the NHL, who are still young. There's just no one signed them. Throw signings at them. See if they, because I can guarantee you, a guy like, if like, for example, because Washington's not going to hide him. If like, for example, Carl Hagelin, if he goes to Seattle, he is old, but I think he can revamp himself where he looks impressive. Like
but if you're a team starting off,
look at Vegas. I mean, Vegas brought over, like, I didn't know anyone besides Marc-Andre Fleury on the Vegas Golden Knights. No, besides Oscar Lindbergh, who was taken from the Rangers. No one. And all these guys are like Riley. Who's Riley Smith? And he's apparently really good. He's better than Brendan Smith at his position. So
let's hope it was the coach in Vegas, Gallant, and he could turn it around. I think the talk has been Rangers building a team like these Final Four teams that have a bottom six that could beat you up and get some players. They're going to have to make some moves because they have too many young kids and not enough roster spots. So the tough decision is which prospects are you going to let go? And glad that's not my job to decide, because you know how the press is. You're going to one of these kids is going to go somewhere and be a star, and it's going to hurt. So you better make the right deal and make sure you got something out of it.
I can tell you one thing: I wouldn't hate before this year if they traded Buchnevich and Strome for Eichel. Like, honestly, because you need. It's to the point now. Like
I think you're going to have to give up a whole lot more than. I think the Rangers would make that deal in a heartbeat.
It needs to be. You got to lose Brendan Smith, Strome, and Buchnevich. You got to lose those contracts.
But Smith but no one wants.
You need Zibanejad. You need Fox. You need them to win a Stanley Cup. That you don't need Strome. You can replace Strome. I'm sorry, he's been.
Well,
good.
Everyone's wondering. I think the trade market for Strome is wondering. Is he good because he's played on lines with guys who are just scoring tons of points? Whether it's Panarin or Zibanejad, because he was a highly touted prospect and didn't, or did he all of a sudden turn his game around?
Well, and he is valuable. But if I'm a team and I think the Rangers could give me Buchnevich and I don't have to give, I'll take it. The guy. He looks like he's rounding the bend.
Oh,
he's turning into a third goal scorer.
He looks great. You could definitely get something from him, and his contract's fine. I think he's a 1-year restricted free agent. If you trade him in that package alone, you're good. But they're not going to give up an Eichel with like 5 years left on his deal for a guy that has one bridge deal that they're going to end up having to pay $5.5–6 million going forward,
Well, you need really, it's like, let me throw you up a look at this. Now, if the Rangers had, because you look at some of their guys, so you're now throwing, if you look at a perfect first line that I like, you're looking at Kreider, Zibanejad, Buchnevich. Buchnevich is a good player, but he's not a first line player. So if he goes to another team and he's a third line left winger, he's going to be one of the best third line wingers in the league. He's not a first line guy. He's not that talented. You can't put him up against a Jake Gensel or like a Evgeny Malkin, or I don't even know if he's a winger, but like you can't.
No, I know what you're saying.
He's not the same he's not at the same level.
He's played really well, but it's the biggest thing with all this is what is the other GM? Everyone wants something, and they all have different opinions. We've seen dumb trades go all over the place, different ways. Buffalo has every right to ask for the world. I wouldn't get involved in the Eichel sweepstakes unless it was really cheap, because Eichel's coming off of a big injury, and I don't want to take a guy with that many years. I think it was his back hurt Like, I do not want to mess around with guys.
In his neck.
Yeah, for a guy who keeps getting crushed against the boards, you could end up eating that contract for years to come. Forget insurance. I don't want to get involved in that. They need a center. I think you package one of the young kids, Bushnevich. They have a million defensive prospects from not Mac Jones. Well, who am I thinking?
Jones.
Zach Jones.
That's where I like you. We could talk. I love how like young they are. I do. I don't like bringing in all these new young defensemen. I think that's where they got to get older. And you stay with Fox. Obviously, he's one of the best.
Fox has proven he should win.
He could play with the best of them. He could play just like Pietrangelo. He's not going to give you that like power.
Honestly,
strength, but
I think he was the best defensive player in the NHL last year.
Yeah, I mean, I would take him over Victor Hedman.
He's the biggest break the Rangers have had in years because he forced his way to the Rangers. I
just don't with defensively wise. I don't like Zach Jones. A lot of these guys great future, but on the defensively, I still want to see Keandre Miller up there. He's going to be good. And Fox, those are the youngest guys I want to see.
But the other younger guys, we don't know. But you also don't know if there's another Fox waiting there. How would you feel if one of these guys that you're talking about, I don't want them up there, is an Adam Fox, and we send him to the Islanders, and next thing you know, he's lighting it up for 10 years. That's the stress of being a GM and trading young prospects is.
Well, because you need you look, but the difference is, I feel like between the Rangers is with the decor they have right now, you can't win a cup. They're not aggressive. They're not powerful enough.
I agree. They need some bruisers in there, and they need some weight. But they have some young kids who are big bodies. Do you want to win the cup this year, or do you like? These are tough decisions to make because you have to weigh the future against what you want to do right now. And it would have been disappointing if they traded Keandre Miller or any of that.
I don't think you can do that because.
But what if they had done it last year when we didn't really see him?
I mean, I feel like there's always going to be that risk, but I feel like we already won the young defenseman that we got.
I think we won the young defenseman lottery because I think I agree. But I'm just put yourself in that GM shoes where you have these young kids and you're like, oh man, do I trade him or do I not trade him? Because if he turns out to be a star somewhere else, I'm going to get fired.
Yeah, well, I think really it's just the perfect setup would be like lines wise defensively. I think you got to stick with how great Fox and Lindgren are, I think you got to throw them at the second pair. And I think you got to put Trouba and Miller up there, your big guns at the first one, and just throw it like defensive, like on the third D line, throw it like big guys, like get yourself a Ryan Pulak, get yourself a
Jeff Bukaboom and Ulf Samuelsson.
Yeah, Savant, you
before you were born.
And I think they thought that's what Jack Johnson was, and he brutally wasn't. And
they signed him to a $1 million deal to see if he could win faceoffs.
And it's just
it didn't pan out. Anyway, we've yabbled on about the Rangers in the off season, as both of us tend to do.
Well, I want to make one more comment though regarding their forward lines. I love how the youngness of them. That's great. But if I think what you have to now do, if you can get rid of Strome, is you got to put Panarin, Zibanejad, and Kreider together because that is your best line.
What about Krastov?
But these guys, I don't like all of the young people up in the top two lines. They're not talented enough yet, and that's why they're not.
We don't know because they haven't been there.
Well, Lafreniere, they put him up immediately in the second line. He didn't perform until he went to the third line. Then
you heard the new coach Gallant say young kids aren't going to learn anything on the third line.
Yeah, but
you got the number 2 pick overall. He's playing in the first 2 lines. You've made a commitment to him to be a future player for the next 10 years. He's got to play, and you got to let him learn.
Well, the difference is though with the Rangers is they have their stars in Zibanejad and Panarin. Those are top 20 players in the league. They're outstanding. But where do you look to after that? You look now, you have teams with young stars. Don't get me wrong, but the Rangers don't have besides Ziban. You throw out Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin. The rest of their lines. I don't have faith in them yet.
I know, but you're not being realistic. So you want to get rid. We've spent the last couple of years trying to get people like Capo Caco, like Lafreniere, like Adam Fox. spent all these guys building youth so that they could have a team that could last for years to come. And now, because you're a little close, you wanted to get rid of some of these guys. Like, you got to give them a chance to learn. You just don't win a Stanley Cup every year. I agree with you. Are they physically ready to take them to a Stanley Cup? No, but they're not going to learn anything in the minors. They're not going to learn anything on the third and fourth lines. So you either got to commit to your future for the next 5, 6, 7 years, or throw it all away and try to win next year. They're not going to win next year.
It's just, I feel like it's some of the guys who are like not doing as good as the others. Like you look at Lafreniere did better in one season than I think Kakko did in 2 years.
I know, but
so, like, I think
they're kids playing against men. These guys are bruisers who have experience.
If Gallant's going to come in and say we're going to win now, you can't do it with the same team. You need more.
Well,
you need more talent.
We'll let the professionals decide. Let's move on because we're going to bore our audience with 4 hours of hockey talk.
But even if you look at though with I still think they're a better team than the Canadiens are. Their record says it. They would have. I mean, like
record means nothing if once you're in the playoffs, you get hot. We've seen it all before. We've seen teams that aren't that very good go with a goalie and win. We've seen Giants teams who are a wild card team go beat undefeated teams. Your regular season, you're only as good as how well you play that day.
Well, with the Rangers, though, what I'm worried about is I'm not worried about them not making the playoffs. I think they very easily will in their old division. I think it's not going to be that hard that people are as hard as people are saying it is. But I don't want the Rangers to go to the playoffs and then meet a scenario like the Knicks where they're just done in 5 games because they don't have enough.
Yeah, but wasn't the Knicks thing great? It was great to see. Yeah, but one team won the cup. Would you rather be the Islanders and lose and not have youth? Well, would you rather have a bunch of veterans and then have no hope for the next season? You got to think about the future. You can't sell everything for tomorrow.
But otherwise, the Islanders are one offensive player away from winning the cup, in my opinion.
Yeah, but can they keep the team together? You know the Rangers are going to be looking for Casey Cizikas to steal whenever your team wins, the other elite teams are going to try to poach your free agents. You see it in the NFL, and whenever your team wins, all your players want raises, and you can't keep everybody. So it becomes a real tough situation. Anyway, no more Ranger talk. Let's move on. Any news in the NFL?
Not much. I think just getting ready for camps and.
The stories I saw is, do we have faith in the Giants' offensive line because they haven't signed anybody else? I don't know. They seem really. The team seems really confident, so it's going to be on them. I bet after game 1, when you could sign free agents and their contract doesn't count against the cap all season long, you'll see the Giants sign a backup guard to back them up. And then the other big news is Patrick Graham. Everyone's panicking that he's going to leave already because he was such a great defensive coordinator last year. We haven't even gotten to game 1 this season. Let's get there. Let's move on. I'm super psyched for the Giants this season. I can't wait to get going.
Yeah, I think they have everything besides the quarterback, and then they're ready to win it all. I think they're there. I
disagree. I love Daniel Jones. He's going to have a huge year, and I'm going to smush it in your face all the time. I'm going to, Danny Dimes is throwing touchdowns, and you're going to be crying. I'm going to make you do a push-ups for all the touchdowns he throws.
But he's not an Eli. Like you look at the successful quarterback.
He throws a better ball than Eli Manning. He's faster than Eli Manning.
I don't like that option though. Like you look at the success, if you look at the Giants, really, because what I
don't go back any further than 5 years because the league is not the same. The NFL evolves. Like the offenses don't run the same offenses they used to.
What I'm gonna say though is gonna resonate because like you look at the Giants. Perfect example is 2011. That's a perfect example of like a team making
with different rules.
No, but it's not. But it's not even about that. It's about because you hear some people well, offense revolves around Saquon. When you know what the Giants did to win the Super Bowl is they had good wide receivers and they had they used that. They had Cruz, they had Nicks and Manningham.
So how can you criticize Jones? He hasn't had good wide receivers.
But can he convert with those guys though? We
don't know. That's what we're saying. You haven't seen it yet. You're trashing him. He's had the worst offensive line in the NFL last year. The worst offensive line in the NFL.
I
Slayton
disagree with
is.
that. That's a bad ranking.
That's Pro Football Focus saying it's the worst offensive line in the year. He faced the most pressures. He had the most drops by receivers. Slayton is not a number one receiver. Sterling Shepard had a bad season and he missed a ton of games. He was throwing to garbage. His tight end, how many balls did get dropped by his tight ends who couldn't block anyway? You know, it's pathetic what he's had to deal with. Now, if he stinks it up this year, it's all on you. But have a little optimism. He doesn't have to be a superstar. He just needs to be in the top half of the league with the talent he has. He threw the best deep ball in the league last year. Have a little faith. It just because it's not all on him. When you're getting sacked and thrown to the turf every time, it seriously affects who you are. Ryan Tannehill, remember him in Miami? Looked like the worst quarterback I've ever seen. He looked like the biggest bust. He goes to Tennessee where people could block and people could catch. Holy, look at this guy. He's unbelievable. Love this guy. Most efficient quarterback I've ever seen. Ryan Tannehill is what I'm expecting from Daniel Jones for the change. That uptick in efficiency and the way they move the ball. He's had a new offensive coordinator every season he's been in the league. I don't love Garrett anyway, but this is the chance. This is the time. He had a toad of a coach before. He's got the man Joe Judge now. Giants, big run this year. Let's make a bet then. Let's make a bet. Yeah, well, we're gonna have to think of something for our fans. But I see Matty wearing a kilt to school, or something's going to happen.
He just keeps. I will never buy his jersey. I won't.
Please don't mush him.
He just needs. And what is with this deep ball? Everyone's saying where's the arm? I don't.
Well, you're looking through your
down. Slayton goes to eat.
Slayton is not a number one receiver,
but he can run deep routes.
Yeah, but if a guy's standing right next to him, you can't really do much.
I know, but everyone's saying like his arm is like a Trevor Lawrence, like one of those kind of.
He has a cannon for an arm. Look, if you go back to Duke, that guy just got pummeled. He just gets pummeled. Now he had a lot of fumbles.
He's used to losing. That's what I don't like.
He's not used to.
I don't like a guy who's
he won it. He won with Duke. You know, did he go undefeated? No, but he had no roster to win with Duke. He competed. I'm gonna look it up right now.
He took Clemson's defense for a ride through.
Yeah, against one of the best teams in the country, he beat him up. Like they pounded him.
That was first that D line of Cleveland Farrell.
He was a two-time college captain. He was the two-time MVP. His players loved him. He beat Northwestern in 2018, North Carolina. Four-time Manning Award star recipient when he played against Notre Dame, North Carolina, Northwestern, and North Carolina. Davey O'Brien Award, grade 8 honoree.
But the difference is there though, is he's beating
MVP of the bowl game they went to.
He's beating teams, which is good. But he
threw 52 TDs to 29 picks in college with the worst. You see Duke all the time. They're 5 minutes from your house. They suck.
Well, that's the problem though, because you see him.
Well, you can't blame him for that.
But what you see him going against like teams like UNC and Notre Dame who's starting to make a turn, and he's winning. That's impressive. But what's going to happen? Like, it's just when the big dogs are barking and they're coming in, like the SEC, he would get pummeled in any game. Just like,
but that's like saying,
versus the Giants.
But
get pummeled. Like,
you're being so ridiculous. It frustrates me. I want to tackle you through the thing right now. You're comparing. It's like your high school team going against Alabama, and you're saying he had a bad game. You know, try stepping back and having a 300-pound nose tackle who's going to the NFL, tackling you at your feet. Go back and look at some of those Duke highlights. We're going to see. Daniel Jones is going to be the man this year. You're going to eat crow. I'm going to watch you eat a crow sandwich on TV.
I don't like him because they chose him to replace their quarterback who had a year left because their whole team sucked and they made him look bad. That's why I don't like him. They chose him over another year with Eli when there was better quarterbacks in the next draft.
Eli was done. I love Eli. He was done. His ball looked like a duck being shot out of the air.
But their
He didn't
offensive
have
line
it,
was just as bad, if not worse.
but he didn't do a good job.
And no wide receivers. And
Yeah,
I
but what did
still
he
think
do? What
was bad.
did he do? He did nothing, Eli.
He
They
could
didn't go to the
throw,
playoffs for like 6 years.
But how does that
Yeah,
fall on him?
It's same exact story. How does it
Yeah.
fall on Eli? The same way it doesn't fall on Daniel Jones. You're making my argument for you. Eli, I love Eli Manning. The team sucked for years. He was not good the last 5-6 years of his career. He got benched for Geno Smith.
Yeah, well, you know why that happened though. We know why that happened because McAdoo's an idiot. But you look at 2011 though, that's a perfect example of what Eli Manning can do with a good team.
That was 9 years ago. You haven't seen Daniel Jones with a good team. So when you see him with a good team, then you make that judgment. Your argument is can't do what Eli did. He would do better than what Eli did with the garbage that they're starting. Their team has been bad for years.
I don't trust him with if the Giants make the playoffs, he can take us through the playoffs.
Well, that is yet to be seen. But
I don't trust him with that.
You're blaming the quarterback for stuff that's completely out of his control, and then giving Eli the benefit of the doubt for stuff that's out of his control. Well, I love Eli Manning, but what Super Bowls came where a guy caught it off the top of his helmet. Well, Eli didn't make that play. That wasn't a good throw.
Eli escaped 3 years into his career, and he won a Super Bowl. Now,
yeah, because he came onto a much better team.
Jones is in year 3.
Yeah, but
I want to see a Super Bowl.
He's on a better team. Like it is a team game. This is not tennis.
But he wasn't good with when the team was good though.
When was the team good with Daniel Jones?
His first year, the team had a stretch. He had Saquon had that good start to the season.
Yeah, they were not a good team though.
But the only reason I don't trust him is because he's never been good through the 2 years.
Through 2 years, he's never been good on 2 shitty teams with 2 different. But he doesn't. Oh my God, I'm so frustrated.
But he doesn't make the record. Look at all the games he blew last year. He blew the Pittsburgh game by throwing 2 terrible picks. One in the red zone. No, he blows all these games. Look at the next week against Chicago. Terrible fumbles. Then a pick was Ingram's fault. Like he blew so many games. Oh,
you're blaming it all on him. Try throwing a ball when you have guys all over you all the time. It doesn't work well, and you don't have receivers who could break away separation. You don't have guys that could catch the ball. Until last year, you had defense just giving up points left in a row, so you're forced to be in passing situations. They were not a good team. Let's see it this year.
Look at the Rams game. Well, perfect chance of the Giants to come back. Throws a pick in the red zone. It wasn't even a good throw. It was a terrible throw.
Oh, stop! You're being ridiculous.
No. I hope he does good. I just don't trust him yet. I don't trust him.
Well, give him. This is you, and you don't give anybody opportunities from the youth in hockey. You have no faith. You want them to walk into the Hall of Fame right out of there.
I trust the whole
Yeah, because these are veterans. You got to give young kids a chance to play, to learn. It's not easy. Baseball players sit in the minors for years. Hockey players sit in the minors.
Colt McCoy.
Yeah, sucked.
Do you think
Sam Darnold, who was picked ahead of him, did that work out real well?
He was on like one of the worst teams the whole entire century of football.
He's one of the worst coaches of all time.
The Giants are bad.
But you look at
they're not even close as bad as the Jets are.
Look at the quarterbacks around the league that have been just total busts. Was Tua good last year? No, he sucked.
He was mixed bag.
No, mixed bag of garbage. He was not that good. They thought about trading him in the offseason, the wonderful Tua. So get Dwayne Haskins. Remember, everyone, myself included, thought you should draft Dwayne Haskins.
I didn't like him.
Yeah, but all the experts who said he should be so great, how did he work out? Goodbye. He's not even on the.
That's Ohio State team.
Don't blame Ohio State. He's not even on the team anymore. So take a breather. Year 3, Josh Allen was not good. Year 2 was not good. Year 1. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Got a little heated. Probably gave you a little too much Rangers and a little too much football in the offseason, but now you know that's where our hearts lie. Till next week, Matty.
Once hockey ends, once the playoffs end, we all Yankees Giants.
We'll get there.
They're just waiting for it.
We'll get there. But till next week, buddy.
Next time you see us, there will be a Stanley Cup champion. So
won't be us, unfortunately. I'll see you later, Matty. Have a good week. I love you, buddy.
You too. Love you too.
Bye.
See ya.